Stop talking. Margaret glanced at the pistol lying on the console between the seats. It belonged to her husband. Joe had taken it from her yesterday, but not before she had learned how useless a gun was to her. At least while they had Peter. Some primitive part of her brain still urged her to grab it, but she doubted she could reach the pistol before he did. He was probably waiting for her to try just that. Joe was thin but amazingly strong, another thing she'd learned last night, and his hard-lined face held no mercy.
"He's dead, isn't he?" Margaret heard herself say. "You're just playing games with me. He's dead, and you're going to kill me too."
"Jesus Christ," Joe said through clenched teeth. He turned over his forearm and glanced at his watch. He wore it on the inside of his wrist so that Margaret couldn't see the time.
"I think I'm going to be sick,"
she said. Again? He punched the number into the BMW's cell phone. As he waited for an answer, he muttered, "I do believe this has been the worst 24 hours of my life to date, and that includes our little party." She flinched. "Hey," he said into the phone. "You in your spot? Okay. Wait about a minute, then do it." Margaret jerked erect, her eyes wide, searching the nearby cars.
"Oh my God, Peter! Peter!"
Joe picked up the gun and jammed the barrel into her neck. "You've come this far, Maggie. Don't blow it now. You remember what we talked about?" She closed her eyes and nodded. "I didn't hear you." Tears rolled down her cheeks.
"I remember."
100 yards from Margaret McDill's BMW, Peter McDill sat in an old green pickup truck, his eyes shut tight. The truck smelled funny. Good and bad at the same time, like just cut grass and old motor oil and really old fast food. "You can open your eyes now." Peter opened his eyes. The first thing he saw was a McDonald's restaurant. It reassured him after his night of isolation. The McDonald's stood in the middle of a suburban strip mall parking lot. As Peter panned his eyes around the mall, he recognized the stores: Office Depot, Barnes & Noble, the Gateway 2000 store. He'd spent hours in that store. It was only a few miles from his house. He looked down at his wrists, which were bound with duct tape. "Can you take this off now?" he asked without looking up. The man behind the wheel of the truck was hard for him to look at. Peter had never seen or heard of Huey before yesterday, but for the last 24 hours he had seen no one else. Huey was 6 inches taller than his father and weighed at least 300 pounds. He wore dirty mechanics coveralls and heavy plastic glasses of a type Peter had seen in old movies, with thick lenses that distorted his eyes. He reminded Peter of a character in a movie he'd seen on the satellite one night, when he sneaked into the home theater room, a movie his parents wouldn't let him watch. The character's name was Carl, and the boy who was Carl's friend in the movie said he sounded like a motorboat. Carl was nice, but he killed people too. Peter thought Huey was probably like that. "When I was a little boy," Huey said, peering thoughtfully through the windshield of the pickup, "those golden arches went all the way over the top of the restaurant. The whole place looked like a spaceship." He looked back at Peter, his 2 big eyes apologetic behind the thick glasses. "I'm sorry I had to tape you up, but you shouldn't have run. I told you not to run." Peter's eyes welled with tears. "Where's my mom? You said she was gonna be here." "She's gonna be here. She's probably here already." Through the heat shimmering off the asphalt, Peter scanned the sea of parked cars, his eyes darting everywhere, searching for his mother's BMW. "I don't see her car." Huey dug down into his front coverall pocket. Peter instinctively slid against the door of the pickup truck. "Look, boy," Huey said in his deep but childlike voice, "I made you something."